What's up guys, TheMainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and welcome to the Tekken 8 Advanced Guide, for those of you players who want to take your gameplay to the next level. Becoming really good at Tekken means being able to beat most characters, but also most players. And this is where we compete online, and mostly in ranked battle, where we compete for ranked points and ranks. Playing online, we have access to a vast pool of opponents, playing different characters, using different playstyles, a great opportunity to grow as a Tekken player. The best way to learn is to learn from one another, from other players. Not only is this how you're going to learn to deal with all of the characters you don't play, by playing against them, but it will also serve as great inspiration on your own character, the character you main. Playing against another player who plays your character is most likely going to be a real eye-opener, because we all go about these characters in different ways with our own unique approach, and chances are they've thought of stuff you haven't thought of, and vice versa. If you play against your own character and you fall for a specific sequence of attacks and you get caught off guard, maybe you would want to try that sequence against someone else. Tekken is a global community, and it's through online we get to play against one another and learn and share our player experience and player expression. It's here, through other players, that you will learn the most about your own character as well as the rest of the cast. The Tekken 8 replay feature is a great resource to look at if you're unsure of a specific matchup you just played. Let's say I just lost a match to Kuma, the majestic bear. I just felt overwhelmed by his attacks, his combinations, his pressure. I had no clue how to defend against it. And this is where replay feature comes in. The game will now tell you if an attack is punishable and what the appropriate punish is with your character. You will also, for example, get information on if an attack is a high, which means you can crouch it and counterattack. The biggest help, I would say, though, is that you can at any point during the replay assume control of your character again for 10 seconds to see in all of these situations what you could have done differently. Can I interrupt here? Can I crouch that attack? Can I sidestep? What can I do to beat this? So I hope you see clearly now that the replay feature is going to be absolutely invaluable for all of us. Knowing the character you play is one thing. Knowing your opponent's character is something completely different. So let's see what we can do in-game to try and learn more about the other characters. How well you do in your battles is going to be a result of how great your understanding is of your own character, but also how much you know about the 31 other characters that are in the game. Another great thing you can do is that you can pay attention a little bit to the characters you run into online. Certain characters you might run into more than others, and you can head to practice mode and play that character a little bit yourself. That can help you a lot in dealing with the character defensively. Especially check out their move list and open the main techniques section. Knowing about a character's most important moves and their utility is a great starting point. Remember also that the Tekken cast comes in all shapes and sizes, and this can actually greatly affect your damage output and combos. Certain characters are so small that the combos we normally do won't work and we have to do something else. And some characters are so thick and burly that moves that normally are not combo starters suddenly are. You can try to explore this a lot to make sure you take full advantage of it, as it can sometimes mean a specific character matchup swings that much more in your favor. Anytime you do a really big attack in Tekken, you usually give your opponent an opening to counter-attacking you. Let's talk about playing with patience and low commitment. If you want to learn as much as possible, try to spend more time guarding than you do attacking. It might sound counterintuitive, but the more you block and the more your opponent attacks, the more he teaches you about his own character and his patterns. And this is a great benefit to us because our goal is not to win the immediate round or maybe even the first match, but to win in the long run. Playing patient and with a tight guard can often frustrate the opponent into overextending and taking big risks. And this is where we need to be ready to take advantage of this opening and punish. And at the same time, we ourselves are patient and keep our guard up, because if we give our opponent an opening, he could get a combo starter on us and do a devastating combo that does a ton of damage, and suddenly we might find ourselves at the wall where we are in a very vulnerable position. As you get more comfortable with your guard, now you can focus more on counterattacking, and remember to look for the openings in your opponent's offense. Take advantage of the opening, punish your opponent, and build momentum through heat. And lastly, let's look at the core fundamentals of the fighting system of Tekken 8. Having strong fundamentals means a great understanding of the base fight mechanics of the game, and this skill transitions into every single character in the game. One of these fundamentals is movement. Tekken not only allows you to move forward, backwards and to the sides, but Tekken movement is also completely fluid. This means that you can at any moment's notice cancel one form of movement into another form of movement. So for example, I can do a sidestep and cancel it by doing a crouch and then do another sidestep. This allows us to move very fast. Let's say I want to retreat from my opponent. I can either chain backdashes by double tapping back over and over, or I can cancel my normal backdash with a carefully placed duck over and over to retreat very quickly from my opponent. This technique is known as a backdash cancel. It's a bit finicky to get the timing down, and it's certainly not a technique you need to do well, but it's still good to know it's there. Now that we understand the nature of a movement, we have to understand how to apply it in a real match. Different situations call for different types of movement. Paul, for example, is at his most threatening when he's standing right next to you. If you can back away from him with your backdash, he can't threaten with his throws and his demo man. Against Kazuya, on the other hand, we want to sidewalk towards our left side to beat many of his most important attacks. Another important fundamental is counter hit timing. This means you getting a read on when your opponent likes to attack and interrupting them with a counter hit attack. If you get really good at this, you can get some devastating results taking minimal risk, as counter hit attacks tend to have strong properties while staying very safe. Now let's talk about how to break an opponent's guard with mix-ups. The most basic mix-up is the mid-low mix-up. So if you like to do a standing guard, you do a low. If you like to crouch a lot, you do a mid. Mix these well to keep your opponent on their toes. Throws are also a crucial tool in applying stress on someone's guard, especially if your character has a strong throw mix-up. You can also challenge your opponent's defenses by doing attacks that have a huge advantage even when they're guarded against, and some characters have attacks that break the guard entirely. Another great thing to keep in mind is that we want to be as unpredictable as possible. We don't want our opponent to get a read on us, so don't apply the same mix-up all the time or the same moves all the time. You have a very generous move list in Tekken 8, so make the most out of it. The more attacks your opponent's guard has to worry about, the harder it is for them to defend properly. And speaking of unpredictable, this is where we want to be with our own defense. When you get knocked down in Tekken 8, you can find yourself in a very vulnerable position. So as you're scrambling to get back to your feet again, don't go about it the same way every time, as your opponent can quickly take advantage of that. When you're on the ground, you have a ton of options for a reason. Be unpredictable. If there's one thing to take away from this video, is that you always want to have your opponent guessing as to what you are going to do next. And that concludes the Tekken 8 Advanced Guide, and that concludes the coaching series by me as well, TheMainManSWE. It's been a huge honor helping you out here, and I really hope you got something out of the videos, and I wish you a ton of fun with the game.